Start over. I'm being recorded now. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone, and good day to all the people down under. Welcome to this evening event. Thanks Buddha, it's Friday. My name is Cindy. I am a volunteer here in San Diego for Shifang Temple. We are honored to have Venerable Miao as our special guest speaker to share this topic tonight, living mindfully in harmony with self and others. It is a matter of choice in how we live, to be mindful or mindful. Our guest speaker tonight is from the land down under. Venerable Miao is an Australian who grew up in Canada and studied McMaster's University. She completed Chonsling Buddhist College and hold a Master in Religious Studies at Foshan University in Taiwan. She eventually discovered her love for Buddhist wisdom and how it changed her view in life and others for the better. She was ordained as a Buddhist nun under Venerable Master Xing Yun in Foshan Monastery. She currently holds the position of secretary to head abbess Venerable Manko and manage the non-Tien Buddhist College as well as the Weekend Buddhist Academy for the young adults who once learned about the Dharma. She is also the guiding venerable for the Australia and New Zealand BLIA Young Adults Divisions and teaches Buddhist class in English to the local community at non-Tien. A few logistics before we start. Please kindly mute yourself during the Dharma talk. And second, if you have any questions during the Dharma talk, please kindly share it in the chat box. I will read them to Venerable Miao at the end or maybe during the Dharma talk, depending how it goes. So for now, please help me welcome Venerable Miao. And Venerable Miao will also guide us for a short meditation. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, again, good evening to those in the Northern Hemisphere, and good morning and good afternoon to us in the Southern Hemisphere. So we're now going to, before we start, we're going to do a meditation. So could everyone just sit comfortably where they are? Make sure you're nicely comfortably seated, either you cross your legs or your legs nicely grounded on the floor. And then if you have glasses, you can take them off. And then relax your shoulders, and you could put your hands nicely in your lap. If you know how to do the meditation gesture, you can do that also, or just on your lap, whatever it is. And just close your eyes. And would like you to take a deep breath in, breathe in slowly from your belly up, breathe as much as you can, and slowly breathe out. And as you breathe out, relax your shoulders and your muscles. Deep breath in, and slowly breathe out. One more time. Deep breath in. And just let everything go. Relax your body from the tip of your head down to your toes. You slowly bring your mind to the present moment. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes and then rub your two palms together to generate warmth. And with the warmth of your hands, you can, you don't have to touch your eyes because it's COVID now. You generate to warm your eyes And then you can also massage your ears, your earlobes, your neck, shoulders, your arms. You can also, if there's not enough heat, you can also rub your palms together and slowly massage your legs, your knees. And yes. Okay. I hope that was a good 5 minutes. That was a good 5 minutes for me. Okay. Oh yeah, because it's put the other way around. All right. Thank Buddha, it's Friday. I say, I want to change this. I just joke. I say, oh, Buddha, it's Saturday. It's my turn to talk. So it's not a Friday, it's oh, Buddha, it's Saturday. And it is Saturday for us, noon. But and anyways, I'm going to share with you just okay, moment. Could you guys all see that? Yeah. Okay. I'll get that. All right. So I didn't have time to do any Photoshop to change that, oh, Buddha, it's Saturday kind of thing. But just to let you know, that's how I feel. You may enjoy Friday. I'm like, oh, no, it's Saturday. All right. Trying to live mindfully is living in harmony with self and others. This is basically, I must admit, this is basically what my life as a nun is, what it is trying to live as mindfully as I can at every moment. Now, I'm not trying to convert all of you guys to become monks and nuns, but I think living mindfully is part of our everyday life. It's something that is not only for the monks and nuns, but it's for everyone. And in this time of world today, I think we should be even more mindful of how we are living. And we can see that with the climate change, with the politics, with how the economy is, and with COVID, how we actually affect not only the people around us and ourselves, but also the whole entire world. And so I'm going to start with asking you, which one are you? Are you mindful or are you mindful? Something to reflect on. Which one do you actually live every day as? Mindful or mindful? I go between both. I'm a mix. My life is trying to decide to live mindfully, but I live in both areas. I go back and forth all the time. But the whole process in Buddhism has at least taught me is to learning to become closer and closer, become more mindful. And we're going to talk about what the Buddha has shared in the way and how to do that. First, instead of always me, I'll be talking, but I'll also ask you guys questions, and feel free to type or actually even answer it out loud. That'll be okay for me. First thing is to understanding of ourselves. And if you want to live a mindful life, how can we need to understand ourselves. So what do you fill your mind with every day? Give you about 10 seconds to think about and reflect. What do you actually fill your mind with every day? Once you wake up in the morning, up to the daytime, you actually will go back to sleep. What is it that goes through your mind? And what do you nourish it every day? Is it social media? I know before this talk, I was actually looking up at our social media health. We have a New South Wales Health Twitter, because there's current some cases around in Sydney, or a bit far from Sydney, about an hour and a half, but it's coming, just wanting to take a look to make sure there's nothing too close by. So I'm filling my mind with all these social media, and of course it increases my anxiety on top of this talk. But even so, I'm very mindful of how it's actually affecting us, and affects not only me, but also of others. So what do I feel? Besides I feel this, and maybe I fill my mind with good thoughts from, quotes, either from Venerable Master Tien. For us, I read Master Tien's quotes every morning. We do that together as a community. And so that we can remind ourselves of the goodness and to start the day with something good. So something for you to think about. And how do we actually do that? Well, we use our 5 senses to connect with the world: a sense of sight, sense of hearing, a sense of smell, right? A sense of taste, and of course, a sense of touch. So all of these are things that we try to connect with the world, and these are like filters. We receive them, and in them, our mind, our consciousness begins to process it. We take out whatever may be past memories or experiences, and we kind of categorize and label them into certain things, the things that we like and or possibly we dislike. And whether we label, however we label them, it sometimes can give rise to emotions. We react either through positive ways of joy, of happiness, of love. Sometimes react with anger, with wanting to control, to possess, or even with ignorance. So it is depending how we grasp on what I like and what I dislike. So what do you actually like and dislike? And that's how we grab on it. The more we grab on it, it becomes part of our reality and perspective in life. And so with all these that we grasp on through our senses, what can we do? I mean, we keep receiving, but we need to have to filter these out. How do I know what I fill in my mind with, such as the social media, or even the family, friends, or even work, so forth, or reading from books? How do I know if it's something good for me or not? Or what about the behavior? And so I have to ask you this question. Are you aware of what you feel? Are you hear, taste, and touch every day? At every moment when you're going through your daily routine, are you aware of where are you at the point? Are you eating mindlessly, that you don't know you're eating tofu, that you didn't know that you just had chili? Or just like, I have to say this one. I just remember when I have a sibling, she's my sister, she doesn't like ginger. So my mother was very smart. One day she did fried rice, and she cut the ginger in very, very small pieces and put it in the fried rice and served it to us. Now I wasn't paying attention, so I just ate it. So just because it didn't bother me. But my sister, I thought for us kids, it wouldn't bother you. You take whatever your mom gives you. But my sister was quite aware. She could smell it. She's using her sense. And so after not even taking a bite, she said, "There's ginger in here." So she's quite aware. So are you aware? Why is awareness? Because there's an attachment. It's off my list. Ginger is not on my list of likes. So you become aware of what you like and dislike. But in that case, so when things that we like and enjoy, we keep grasping on it. We're using our senses. Oh, I like chocolate cake. I like cookies and so forth. So whatever you see chocolate cake, no matter where you go, your eyes will go out for it because you become aware and grasp on it. And things that you don't like, it's funny things that you don't like, you don't want to see, you end up actually seeing a lot of it. There are two sides of a coin, what you like and dislike. So if you don't like something, you're actually attached to it. So you actually will attract to it and try to look for things that you don't want to see. So it's kind of funny in that way. But what are your guides in determining, or your principles in determining what things you should filter? What are you grasping that you should actually learn to let go or decrease over time? And so there are lots of things in the Buddhist teachings on the Eightfold Noble Path of having right understanding up to right speech, right thought, right action, behavior, and so forth, including right mindfulness, and to determining how we should, whether our actions, whether our behavior, whether our speech, and whether our thinking is in the right direction. Is it is what I'm receiving nutritious for me? And so here I'm going to share is actually 3 parts in what I think for me is the part of way of living mindfully. The first one is about living with morality ethics. Now, there are different types of precepts or the basics in Buddhism is what we call the 5 precepts. They're basically, they're very foundational for in Buddhism. And I would say these are also foundational for being human. You don't want to kill any human being. You don't want anyone to steal things. You don't want who likes a person who likes a friend who lies a lot. I don't think so. Sexual misconduct, of course, we don't even have to mention about that. Relationships and, of course, intoxicants. So morality, these are the 5 precepts. These are guidelines, actually, in what we can and we should not do. Now, Buddha is a wonderful teacher. He's a wonderful teacher where he tells you what you can't. But on the other hand, he often tells us what we should and can do. So let's take a few minutes just to look at this, how important morality actually is. Morality are ethics like guidelines. When we're crossing a road, when we're driving, we have lines on the road. So you have dotted lines and yellow lines and white lines and telling you which side of the road you can drive. I remember when I came to Australia not long after a few months began to drive. Now it was, for us, it's easy. You could just switch your license. I switched my Canadian license to my Australian license. Now I didn't do any tests, although people recommended me. I say, I know my stuff, right? But I forgot it was on you. People drive on the other side. And so I think Australians knew that. So they have big signs. So one day I was driving. I keep telling myself to remind myself and to plant the seeds in my consciousness that I have to always keep to the left side, not the right. So I keep left side. So I'm driving. It says, okay, I'll keep on left side, keep on left side. And one day, I was kind of a bit lost because we went a wind in the wrong direction. So I turned, and because I was a little bit anxious in that sense, so I turned the wrong turn. So I began to go on the right-hand side. And then Australia, I like about Australia, they have this huge sign that says, you're going the wrong way. It says the wrong way, turn around. And so when I saw that sign, I was like, oh, so that's like a signage or a guideline says, you got to stop. You're going to keep going on the wrong way. You're going to crash. So I turned, thank goodness it was at night and there were no other cars. So I turned around, but I scared half of my car that night, including myself on that road trip. But after that taught me a lesson. Always keep to the left. I don't do that anymore. But things like that, so guidelines to tell you and remind you that whether we're doing things that are harmful to ourselves or others. And so even as morality is very important, even when we're alone. There's an experiment with 4-year-old children. I think it's in England. It's actually quite interesting. And I was watching this show. It's about they put these children together and in a candy store. Now, what can you happen to 4-year-old kids in a candy store? And the owner tells them, he says, look, I'm going to have to go out for a few minutes. You help me watch the store. Now, what most of you would think will happen. The kids will take up the opportunity, grab all the candy they can get and eat it, right? So, but there's one kid who says, like, we cannot touch it because it's not ours. So it was quite amazing. But after a while, it was because of an experiment. And so how strong is your moral and ethics and as your guidelines? So there comes an adult who comes in, and it's an actor, of course, comes in and he says, oh, this is chocolate. And he begins to eat these chocolates. He take 2 bites and then left. And the children watch with big eyes and wondering, wow, look what that person did. And after that adult left, the next thing the children says, oh, we should try this. it looks delicious. And the next thing, the kid who says, no, we can't, he was actually began to waver in his own morality and ethics and says, maybe if he can do it, maybe we can. So the next thing you know, and within a minute, all the kids dived in and ate as much candy and chocolate could. And the shop owner was actually outside. So after she let them feast for a while, came in and asked the children, what happened? Why your face is all chocolate? And of course, they tried to explain by telling lies because they felt ashamed. So when there is no one there to guide you, are you able to keep these moral ethics? And remember, there is a quote saying, when you're on your own, when no one's around, are you able to maintain that principle of living? So that principle of living is, are you aware? I think also is in relation to awareness. Are you aware how your behavior is? When you're alone, you think no one's watching. There is a story in the Tien riddles that says, there's a thief who come to steal, and there was a father and a son, and the son says, there's someone watching. The father says, who's watching? He says, the moon's watching. There's always there watching. So are you aware of what you're doing, the behavior, and how it affects others? So morality is important. So as I mentioned in the beginning, so that's how important morality is in our part of everyday life as a principle guiding us when we're alone, or when we're with people or with our peers, and when we're in with a group or in society and so forth. But these are the basics in helping in our behavior, body, speech, and of course our mind. No killing, stealing, lying, sexual misconduct, taking toxins. The first two are about the body behavior. And the Buddha has mentioned, he talks about no, but he also talked about how we actually means that we should actually cherish and protect life. It's not about not doing something, it's what we can do. What we can do is proactively. Instead of stealing, people steal because they want something they don't have. Why don't we share what we do have to prevent actually stealing, prevent other people having wants of the desire? And no lying. Well, who people want genuine friends. You can actually talk and tell things that you can trust. But that also includes yourself. Can you trust your own self? And we want to be able to live with integrity with who we actually are. No sexual misconduct, of course, in relationships is to be able to live and respect and the honor of each other in the relationship, whether it's the physical body, but also in the relationship that we have. And the last one is about the mentality, the mind. Taking intoxicants, whenever we're too much, we can cloud our mind, whether it's alcohol or our drugs and so forth. They can actually let us not be clear in our own behavior and a way of thinking. So it's important that we have clarity that in what we do, that we are conscious in what we're doing so that we can be aware. I'm going to talk a lot about aware, especially in the next part, because it's important in living mindfully. If we are not clear in our mind, we can't live mindfully. We live with mind that is full. That's we are not living here in the present. So let's see. I have to share. I'll share this other one. To share. So guidelines we have for each other is not for others to put on us, but for us to do for ourselves. So I put this up because I was thinking, people think that principles or guidelines, you have law, to bias, so you just follow, right? But actually, it's about you. You have to do it. You determine how you live your life, what kind of moral integrity life you want to live. I bought this and I thought it was funny. People like fortune cookies. You go to a Chinese restaurant and get cookies. And I said, we should put these in all these cookies. I can't help you. I'm just a cookie. That's right. And who can help you? It's your fortunes in your hands. Deal with it. Your behavior, take accountability. Your speech, take accountability. The way you think, take accountability. It doesn't mean that's the end of it, but it means that we can do a lot more. And the Buddha shows us a lot of things that we can do in a positive way and to make life much better. All right. So I'm going to take a look at the clarity of the mind, the second part. Now, mind is very important because it's the control of the whole body. It controls our way, as how we think, how we feel, how we perceive the world of reality. Now, meditation is a process of where we learn for not only to relax the mind, relax the body, that's the first process, but eventually, gradually, to actually see and reflect inside what's in our minds. And I usually use this cup of water. I don't have that sample today, but a cup of water, we put in stones and mud inside and constantly shake it. And we have this thing stick that we stir it up. And we started while stirring it up, and we noticed that it's cloudy. You can't see very clearly. And that's like a reflection of our mind itself. And that stick actually is like a representative of our mind, of our five senses in contact with the world. And we're receiving everything, and that's stirring up our minds with things. In the beginning, I said what I like and dislike. So we cloud our minds with that, and we react to it through things of I love it, I hate it, I dislike it, I don't want it, or I want it, I enjoy it, and so forth. So we react to it. Often we react with our emotions before we actually respond. Responding where you have time to think about it and pause for a moment before you actually determine what kind of behavior you want to do to respond. And so this cup of water, when we do meditation, is letting this cup of water sit for a minute to 5 minutes to 10 minutes to even longer. And the longer you sit, the things in the water, this cup of water, will gradually settle down to the bottom. And you'll notice that water becomes clear and clear over time. That water is a reflection of our own true nature. Water by nature is clear. It's not what you put inside it that makes what it is. It's just like our emotions. We're not the angry person all the time. We're not always that happy person all the time. It's not because of my emotion, my perspective, that determines who I am forever. But that may be for that moment. And often we use that to determine, package who we are. But through meditation, you see it settles down to the bottom, and you begin to see, reflect, well, this is who it is, and this is what my mind is. And there's a lot of things inside it. We have stones, we have mud, we have all kinds of beautiful and ugly things inside it. And the more you see, so what do I do with all these things? And so we need to filter these out. Now, for the Buddha, he used teachings like the Four Noble Truth, Eightfold Noble Path, or you can use other teachings of compassion, loving kindness, joy and equanimity, and so forth, or even the three trainings, to help you to filter these out and to take a look at what is actually in our mind. What do I need to leave and nourish? What should I not? Should I begin to, I guess the cliche word is let go, but more of decrease over time and change my way of perspective and mind and routine over time. And so that's how meditation helps. It's in this world today, we talk about attention spans. We tell children have such attention spans. But meditation is about increasing our awareness spans. How much are we more aware of? Or how much are we aware in a day? And I usually ask our school groups, or retreats for our school groups that come in, I says, the Buddha is fully awakened. He's fully aware 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But how many of you are actually awake? Yes, your eyes are open, but how many of you here are actually present? Just like talking to a best friend or someone you care and trust, you don't need too many words of exchange, but you can feel that person is there paying attention. So that's presence. It's almost feeling like that. And so when you'll be able to bring that presence into awareness, into how you're feeling, your behavior, your words, and way you're thinking, and when you're doing things. And all this is part of what meditation does. So by helping us to focus on the present moment, to stop our delusion, that random scattered thinking that we often have, and to see our mind very clearly, which is our going back to our own true nature. And in that process of meditation, it can help us energize our mind. It definitely can. And let us become more stable in that sense that we are not so easily distracted and moved by what happens around us. It doesn't mean you put yourself in a bubble, but it means you become more aware of this doesn't have to bother me as so much. Of course, it increases our awareness, as I mentioned, increasing our awareness spans about not only about yourself, but of course of others. Because gradually over time, you realize that you're not the only one who has these feelings. You're not the only one who has these perspectives or have this behavior, but also people have similar things, that the pain that you have, the satisfaction you have, or what we use in Sanskrit called dukkha. And that's not only you, but also others. And when we are aware of it, we may begin to decrease to trying to hurt others and harm others at the same time. Now, share an example I'll share a few examples. The mindfulness can be done. Meditation is not only found in your just sitting in a temple or going to a retreat. That is not the only way. It's a part of our everyday life. It can be found in when you're cooking. I was cooking this morning, and for our temple this morning, and it was quiet because we're all focusing on what we're doing and enjoying what we're doing. That's mindfulness. And of course, when you're doing cleaning, cooking, cleaning, gardening, and so forth, and of course, mindful eating. I always joke since COVID, I've joked to I kind of half joke to the school groups or retreats and says, because of COVID, we have to let everyone experience mindful eating. We don't want any exchange of talk in the air. So we have everyone who comes in and mindfully eat. And in that sense, everyone gets to experience this at the same time whenever they come to the temple, whether you're public or your retreat and so forth. So everything you're learning to eat mindfully, are you aware of what you're eating? And are you aware of what you eat, where it comes from? And so this becomes a part of our everyday actions and routine. That includes, of course, we're drinking coffee and tea and so forth. And you would think for meditation, you may ask, so if I'm aware, so what happens? What's next? I mean, you become more and more aware. Does that make me more and more closer to enlightenment? And so once there was a Chan master and a disciple. This disciple has followed this Chan master for many years, meditating in the temple, meditation hall, very disciplined. And he just wondered, says, I've been doing this so long, I don't feel I've changed. I don't feel more enlightened. I don't look younger. I don't look wiser. There's no change. So what's the point of it? Is there, as I get closer to enlightenment? And so he asked the Chan master, and the Chan master said, he asked us, what is enlightenment? What's meditation? What actually is it? He says, if you want to get there, then you have to do this. Eat when you're hungry, sleep when you're tired, and when you have things to do, just do it. Now, for all of you here today, and even myself, I would think, well, that's easy, isn't it? Don't you all do that? You eat every day, 3 meals, 2 meals, 1 meal. You guys sleep, right? You don't, are not goldfish. You don't keep up all the time. And you have things to do. You guys do it, right? So you don't just leave in the pauses. I don't want to. Maybe procrastination, maybe, but you still do things. You still have routines. You still have tasks to do. You have work to do, and so forth. You just do it. Right? So we should be closer to enlightenment, closer to being more what meditation is about true nature. And the Chan master smiles and says, no. He says, most people, when they eat there, they don't eat. They pick their food, they choose what's spicy, what's salty, what's organic, what's vegetarian, what's cold. They pick and choose and so forth. And so they don't enjoy their food. And so what about sleep? When people sleep nowadays, if there's an increase over in the past years, increase in insomnia, lack of sleep, and people having a hard time to sleep. Why is that? Because we think too much. Once we hit the pillow, we're not sleeping. We're thinking of planning of tomorrow or the day after, or what happened in the past. What did I just do? Reflecting the good times or the bad times. So do you actually sleep? No, we don't sleep. We don't let our mind rest. So, but when we do things, nowadays with technology, it's fast paced. And things are instant. You get an email and they're expecting you to reply within the day or so. Or even if you have WhatsApp and so far, they're expecting you to read the message, right? Instant. And so, and at the same time where you're doing this, you're probably reading your message, doing your work, your assignment and so forth at the same time. So we're multitasking. Or while you're doing things, cleaning or working, you're saying, I'm doing do this, and you're planning for the next I'm doing do next. I have this chore, I have to pick up my kids, I have to go an errand, buy this and that. And so you're not doing your things. You're not there. And so the disciple says, she says, so what is meditation? He says, what is enlightenment? Then the Chan master says, well, if you eat, just eat. If you're tired, just sleep. And you have things to do, just do it. If you're able to do such at every time, at every moment, you're there at that moment. You're aware of what you're doing, what you're eating, or you're doing, you're sleeping. Then maybe you're closer because you're very aware of your behavior and how it affects others. That is what meditation is. It's not sitting alone in a quiet room or in a temple trying to discover yourself, to get close to enlightenment. That's far from it. Are you able to do it while you're walking, standing, doing cooking? I don't know, while you're mindfully reading, while eating, and mindfully driving. But I tell my retreat participants, I says you can be mindfully driving, but do not meditate when you're driving. That's too dangerous. Your eyes closed in meditation. No, you'll be mindful what how you're driving. Okay, that's good, but don't meditate. But meditation is about increasing of our awareness. Very important. And besides being aware of yourself, a lot of times people think that Buddhism is about yourself, self-awareness and stuff. But it starts there. And then are you aware of what goes on around us, around you? So I'm going to share with you what goes on here. This is Tien Temple. I thought it's beautiful. It's the fall, autumn. Actually, we're now entering winter. So this is just a few weeks ago. Are you aware of what the environment is doing this change? We look at this and we see impermanence change. And things is changing. The weather's changed, it's getting colder, and it's autumn. Or do you notice, or do you know they're all decreasing, all the leaves are falling and it's becoming winter? Are you aware of what's going on around you? Are you aware that there are people who are in pain that will need your help? Are you aware of your own pain? And how do you deflect it on others, or do you hold it within, or do you deal with it in a positive way? Are you aware of it? And so there are different ways of meditation and awareness. And it's important to become more and more aware of what we do and what we say, because it influences not only yourself, but others. And this awareness that we're learning whether through meditation, it doesn't have to be sitting there, as I said, it could be standing, and through walking, through doing chores and doing your daily routine, is to increase that awareness over time, that you can be present for yourself and for others. And when you increase your self-awareness over time, the next part, the Buddha says, don't stop there, be aware of what goes on around you, nature. We know because of nature changing, because of climate change, we become more aware of it. We begin to recycle, we begin to learn to live a sustainable life and so forth, and to change our whatever habits because we know we influence it. We influence it a lot. And that comes back to our ethics here, your ethics, because I know how it affects it and so forth. Maybe I should go back to my ethics or my guidelines to help me to understand what can I do to help. And so besides the environment, most important is people. That's where we live in. We live in a community, we live in a society, we live in a global world where we're all connected. And it's important when you are aware of your own pain that we can share that understanding with others to increase our empathy, mostly our compassion. Compassion is about relieving others of their pain and suffering and bringing them joy and release of the positivity. And so meditation is not only about yourself, it's about increasing that so that you can be out there proactive to help others. Living mindfully is not about you only. If you live mindfully, you're only you are well about the rest of the world because we are all a very global community. And so next part is, I'm going to skip a few slides here in a moment. Pause here. As last one is most important is wisdom. Oh, here we go. This wisdom part is part of naturally when you become more and more self-aware, you become aware of your own behavior and how you do things. And that gradually becomes, you notice how you affect others. And you would want to do things differently. So what is wisdom? Wisdom is unlike knowledge. Knowledge you take, but it is often changed. Wisdom, you can say it's from experience, but through Buddhist wisdom or Prajna wisdom is transcendental wisdom, is seeing things as it is. And by seeing things as it is, you become aware that we understand that we are connected with each other. And to understand that we have that connection with others is very important. And that because we're all connected, then you realize that we are one and coexist. And COVID has definitely taught us as how that we are actually really connected. That's because you have COVID, in the States or India or Australia, that it also influences, it will come, there is no borders. And it's important to understand that connected and to not to be biased and discriminate, but to connect each other and help each other in that sense. That's wisdom in that sense. And don't have much time. How can we use this wisdom and understanding that connection? I think COVID has definitely is one way of how we living our lifestyle can actually help us to rethink how we should live our lives. How can we live more mindfully so that we are much more aware of ourselves, but also of others, to help others in that sense, through compassion, of course, through wisdom, but also through our everyday part of living, through meditation mentioned before, whether for gardening, cooking, eating, daily routines. How can we live much more better and mindfully in when we do things? And with wisdom, we can, this is from Master Shigen. This is how I think wisdom actually works. It lets us to realize how this cause, condition, effect, that we're all very connected. And with wisdom and meditation, discipline, or morality, we learn to become more and more at ease under all circumstances over time. And you live whatever conditions come. So for example, like COVID or something that happened, financial situation at home or at work, or it could be something even with relationships and so forth. You're able to not, instead of reacting, respond within a different way because you're aware of your own emotions, not to deflect your emotions, not to say no to it and put it to the side, but to become aware and transforming that. So by undertaking every endeavor with joy and to truly enjoy everything by heart. In other words, every condition that, whether it could be everything that's bad, I always call it a challenge, because it's a challenge to ourselves, mental challenge, and to thinking beyond our box in the way we think, our perspective, to opening up our minds, and a challenge to in a way of living also, in our routines, our habits. So if we take that as a challenge, you'll find discover that it's a lot of joy in it. And with the Buddhist teachings, you become more aware of your emotions. You enjoy at every moment of this challenge. You have ups and downs, but you begin to be able to go with it. I guess the word go with the flow, I guess you can say that. But this is only when we have enough, when we really live up to our integrity and morality. And we practice our own meditation, mindfulness every day. And of course, we will discover that wisdom to actually undertake these challenges, no matter how good or bad they are, and understand they come and go and that they color our lives. So that's the beauty of part of life. And so in summary, these are basically these three, how they work in our everyday life. In other words, we can choose how we live life, see life positive, negative, neither. We can choose to live a life mindfully or mindful. But when we are mindful, through whatever we see through our five senses, we become more aware, we begin to filter them. So using our morality or our discipline, your routines, that's your own way of living, routine lifestyle. And when our mind becomes aware and clear, we can have room for self-reflection and open our mind to new challenges and our heart to others. And you have room for not only more positive room for positive emotions of joy and particularly compassion. This is very important in this world today. And of course, once we have that compassion growth in our minds and our hearts, we will learn to care for even the simplest things, such as your toothbrush, learning to care for it, putting things as it is, or the garbage that you see on the ground, and when eating the food that you have, and remembering that we are actually all connected with each other and of course with nature, and that we are one and we coexist. That's what it basically is. So if want to put this in a nutshell, of morality, of meditation, of wisdom in our everyday life is a way of living mindfully. How can we do that? Very simply. Humanistic Buddhism, Master Xing Yun has kind of summarized that very simply in our body, speech, and minds. And it's easy for a child, toddler, up to a person of 89-year-old or a centurion, which are the three acts of goodness. Can you every day wake up, do these three things? Honestly, have any of you, I don't know, you can ask yourself, because I can't see everyone. Have every one of you done this already today? Have you done all three of them and maintain that whenever something challenges you, when things are not going the way you expected to? How are you able to maintain that? That's not easy, but that's the way of that's also a way of moral ethics to live by, and to be mindful of it. Am I doing things that are doing good deeds? Doing good deeds is not just doing it because it's just putting a few money in the box to help or giving food only. Are you giving it so that they're really helping that person needs? The words you're saying, you're just saying words because you say it. Are you saying it out of the heart of words of encouragement and praise? And thinking good thoughts, the most important one, drives who we are. Are you thinking well of others and particularly of yourself? It's a two-way thing. But if we're able to do this, it's a win-win situation. That person is good and I'm good. Everyone will be good in that sense. So the 3 acts of goodness, and it starts with ourselves. And so, what time is it? Oh, last one. Sorry. I thought it would be short. I guess talk more than that. Last one, at least, I thought I'd share this prayer excerpt from Master Tien, just to summarize it up. No matter what happens in life, whatever challenge we face, learning to live mindfully with ourselves and at every moment, we can be closer to becoming aware of who we are and how we affect others, and most important, to generate that compassion for others. So this excerpt in this times of challenge that we are facing is for you here and for everyone in this world, as a reminder that we also to live a reminder of compassion was important, and to do the 3 acts of goodness. So I'll just say this short prayer. If you can help me join the palms together with me. Great compassionate Buddha, no matter how difficult the situation is in the world, as long as there's compassion and wisdom, and when we practice the 3 acts of goodness, do good deeds, say good words, and think good thoughts, if we all protect the environment and have respect for all life, we shall be able to turn peril into safety. And Buddha bless you all, wherever you are, stay well and stay safe. And thank you very much. Sorry, I took your question time.
Thank you, Venerable. I think we still have a few minutes before our closing. Can we take a few questions, or does anyone have any questions? We have. Okay, yes. So we do have a few minutes to take questions from anyone who has questions. If you have questions, please unmute your phone or your mic and you can ask directly to the Venerable. Okay, it
looks like everyone's enlightened. They know what to do now. No questions, no need.
Yeah, since there's no question, everyone is like kind of like aha and know what you have shared. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Venerable Miao for skipping her lunch to talk to us. And of course, like to spend time to share with us on living mindfully. So with what she has shared with us, we remind ourselves that with the help of like upholding the precepts, and we continuously practice meditation concentration, and hopefully along the way we cultivate wisdom, so that every day we practice the 3 acts of goodness. What are those? Do good deeds, speak good words, and think good thoughts. So again, we'd like to thank Venerable Miao. And not only we have everyone from around the world, we also have her mom's support in today's Dharma talk. So so thank you again. No last question from anyone? Wow, amazing. Okay. Oh yeah, Carmela, okay.
So you spoke a lot about guidelines, in the sense that the signs, like you made a reference to like the signs on the road telling you not to go this way, not to go that way. What do you think, in a sense, it's like habitual, learning, like you're trying to train your mind into knowing which way to go and which way is the right path. What do you think the best way on like our daily lives, for instance, like, waking up in the morning, just driving, how should we, like, what would be the best way for us to make those signs throughout our lives, to remind ourselves of how, we should be living?
Just like the very simple one, the 3 acts of goodness: do good deeds, say good words, think good thoughts. As the most very simple because it talks about the body, speech, and mind. These are the most simple ones to remind ourselves as a guidelines. I mean, the Buddha's teachings has many, but if we can actually remember these three at every moment when we wake up, what kind of good thing I would like to do? What kind of good words I would like to say to others? Would you say good morning to people you see, or say hello on your social media? What kind of thoughts? Just because you woke up on the wrong side of the bed doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It could also be, can I say, well, maybe it's a new day, it's a new fresh start. Can I think of, maybe I should refresh my mind and say, okay, let's start again. Maybe I can do a 5-minute meditation to recalibrate my mind and start again. So I think the 3 acts of goodness are actually very good. And we don't have to know a lot of the teachings, what I just mentioned, the precepts of morality, meditative concentration, wisdom. If you don't remember that, it's okay. But the do good deeds, say good words, think good thoughts are already encompassed in it. And naturally, if we are able to do that in our part of everyday life, when we wake up, I think we are getting closer to becoming more and more aware and living mindfully, because you are walking in that direction.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll put a post-it note of those on my car,
Yeah.
so I remind myself as I'm driving. Very tofu, thank you.
You're very welcome, tofu.
I hope to see everyone again, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Amitabha.
Thank you.
Amitabha.
Thank you.
Amitabha.
Take care.
Stay well and stay safe.
Thank you. Good job.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.